Today we have 3 things you should never do when dealing with law enforcement. I'm John Henderson, and this is HH Law. Three things you should never do when dealing with law enforcement. Number 1 is remember that all the interaction is trying to gather information from you. And so you don't want to volunteer information unnecessarily, probably without consulting with a lawyer about what the circumstances are around. We usually find that law enforcement is pretty much staying between the lines. There are no real traps. When we watch videos of law enforcement and our clients interacting, that you're usually very respectful. They're not trying to lay any traps or gather anything, but you've got to remember that they are always collecting that information. It's going to be on their dash cam in their vehicle or on the camera that they're wearing on their body or being recorded in some other way. So all of that interaction is going to be caught somewhere and used as evidence as they are starting to investigate a case. And sometimes you can be wrapped up in something. They're investigating another case, but now you've said something that pulls you into that case. So our best recommendation is short and sweet answers. When you're dealing with law enforcement, don't overly volunteer information unnecessarily. Zip it up. Remember that you have a right to counsel. You have a right to remain silent. These things are enshrined in the United States Constitution to protect your freedoms and your rights. So don't overly volunteer information to law enforcement. Number 2, never consent to a search. This could be at your home. This could be in your car. This could be as you're walking down the road into your pockets, but you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in all of those areas, in your vehicle, in your home, in your pockets. And no law enforcement officer is allowed to go searching into these places without having probable cause or a warrant. And so generally the other way that they can get there is if you consent to them looking for these things. Now, there can be a pat down for sure. That's a whole different scenario. But generally speaking, when we're talking about the context of a car, or we're talking about the context of your home, and you don't want law enforcement looking into these things, then you can say, I'm just not comfortable with this. I don't consent to you coming into my house. I don't consent to you coming into my car. If they are investigating you already, if they think that they've got probable cause on you already, then they're going to be able to get in there anyway. They're probably just fishing for information and want to know how you're going to respond to things. So you just say, I don't consent to these things. And then if they're going to do it, they're going to do it anyway. And then you would hire a lawyer to try to determine whether or not that was a lawful search or not. But don't consent to it. And number 3, never be rude or disrespectful. There is a polite way to say, no, I don't consent. There is a polite way to say, no, I don't want to make a statement about that. And all you have to do is remain calm, use please, use thank you, your P's and Q's a lot, and to just remain respectful at all times. Anything that is a quick movement could put them on guard. Any disrespectful behavior is now going to invite even more questions. You're not doing yourself any favors by being rude and disrespectful or by making them think that you're hiding information. Nobody thinks that you're hiding information if you say, look, I want to invoke my right to remain silent, and I just like to talk to my lawyer before I say anything. He always told me just to make sure we run everything by him before I give any statements or anything. That's a very easy, respectful thing to do. Most of the time, law enforcement is going to be receptive to that. Now, if they've got, as we mentioned before, probable cause or a warrant or some other reason, there's an emergency or you consent to it, then they're going to be able to do a search. They're going to be able to ask further questions, arrest you, whatever the case is. But if those things are going to go down, we want you to look great on camera, because that's going to be shown potentially as evidence at a trial. A judge may see that, a jury may see that. The prosecutor on the case is most certainly going to see it. We will see it. So keep that in mind. Everyone who is involved in your case is watching. So mind your P's and Q's. Be respectful. So these are the 3 things you've got to do when dealing with law enforcement. Most law enforcement is great. We love law enforcement in our office, but we've got to remember these 3 things when dealing with them. I'm John Henderson, and this is HH Law.